It's all over the news. Millions of squatters are taking up residence in people's homes all across the nation. Atlanta has most recently been on the news as being the most affected, with over 1,200 homes occupied by illegal breaking and entering and squatting. I personally haven't had an issue with squatters since I implemented these 3 strategies, and I'm going to tell you those today so you can prevent squatters from getting in your property and ruining your life. Let's go. Hey there, and welcome back to my channel at Brick by Brick Wealth. My name is Casey Franchini, and I am your long-term rental real estate expert, freeing you from societal norms with financial freedom through investing in rental properties the easy way. Preventing your property from being targeted by a squatter is the best thing that you can do to prevent them from breaking and entering. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Now, before we get into it, let me get a sip of my iced tea. You might be surprised to know that a lot of states in America have squatters' rights, which is honestly unreal to me. But what squatters' rights means is that if a house is vacant, someone can illegally enter the property, take up residence, and the owner of the property is not allowed to kick them out. It's super scary if you think about it, and super costly, especially for mom and pop landlords. In some cases, in some states, it can take years to get your property back from a squatter. And when you do get it back, it is in terrible condition and will cost you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to get it back into rent-ready shape. Unfortunately, squatting is on the rise as home affordability plummets, and I predict we're going to see a lot more squatting in our future. So what do you say? Let's hide our properties so the squatters don't know that they're vacant. And we'll hide those properties with these 3 tips. First of all, we're going to make it hard for them to get in. That means keeping all your windows locked, keeping your doors locked, keep all your blinds closed, all your curtains closed, all your gates secured to the backyard with a deadbolt, and keep your fence lock secured with a key lock. Sometimes squatters just want easy access, and they may go to vacant house, trying doors, opening windows, and seeing if they can get in easily. They're not always looking to break the window and get in, because as soon as it appears as if it had been broken in, then the trouble starts, and they would love to stay under the radar and stay for free for quite some time. The last time we had a squatter, it was because of an unlocked window. The property was for rent, there was a for rent sign in the yard, my property management company was showing the property, and when she got there with a potential tenant, there was a bicycle inside, a Starbucks cup, some clothes, and a bed. Freaked out, she leaves and she gives us a call. We had no idea what was going on, so we went over there and we did see all the belongings. My husband took all the stuff out, put it on the front porch, and we were like, how did they get in? We checked all the windows and everything, and come to find out it was an unlocked window in the backyard, one of the rear-facing bedrooms, and the screen had been removed. It was on the floor in the backyard, and the window was unlocked. So they just literally opened the window and got in and out. Thankfully, they didn't come back once we put their stuff on the curb, and we locked all the windows up tight. The second thing you can do to hide your property from potential squatters is to make it appear occupied. Squatters don't break and enter homes where people are living there. They want to occupy vacant, empty residences. So if it looks like it's occupied, they're not going to try it out. If your property is vacant, here's a few things that you can do to make it appear occupied. Keep the lights on at night. If you are nearby or you have a property management company, maybe alternate the lights. One day it's the kitchen light, another night it's the front bedroom light, so that the same light isn't always on every single night. Another great tip, and this is probably one of the best ones, is to have a neighbor park their car in the driveway. Let the neighbor know, hey neighbor, I'm renting this property out and I would love for it to appear occupied so we don't have any problems. Any chance you have a spare car or wouldn't mind parking your car in my driveway while we get the property rented? Usually they're happy to do so because they also don't want squatter problems in their neighborhood. Another one is to have a security system. Now, depending upon the class grade of the neighborhood that your rental property is in, you're not going to go all out and put in some decked out expensive security system. But what you can do at the minimum is put on automatic floodlights that come on whenever somebody walks up to the front door or goes by the driveway or the carport, a light comes on. The third tip is don't advertise that it's vacant. Now, obviously you're not going to go run around online and say, hey, it's vacant, my property's vacant. But essentially, you are doing that right when you put a for rent sign in the yard, right when you put it for rent online. I seemed to have the most problems with my properties when I put a for rent sign in the yard. Now, a for sale sign doesn't automatically mean that the property is vacant. Many people sell their homes and still live inside, so that's not a super red flag for squatters. But for rent signs usually only have a for rent sign when the property is vacant. So in my opinion, squatters target rental properties. Squatters also look for properties that have deferred maintenance. So they love an abandoned house. They love one that's not for rent. They love one that's just sitting vacant and has been vacant for years. I know someone who bought a rental property. It had a detached garage, and while they were working on repairs over a couple months, there seemed to be someone living in the detached garage. They peered through the window and they saw needles and they saw cups and they saw blankets. And then one day it caught on fire. It caught on fire because it was cold outside. The squatter didn't have any utilities in the detached garage. And the detached garage, unfortunately, caught on fire as they were trying to keep themselves warm. So make sure everything is locked always. So when it comes to deferred maintenance, you don't want to have any. Remember, you want your property to appear as if it is occupied at all times. Car in the driveway, alternating lights, automatic floodlights. Keep the property mowed, trimmed up, maintained. No overgrown lawns, tires piled up. If you're working on a property and it's going to take several months for rehab, be careful about leaving materials and supplies out front, showing that it's under construction. That's another key that squatters have when they're driving around looking for places to squat. They're looking for properties that are also under construction. The next key is to remove any city service tags. That's right. If you got a city water shutoff notice or a utility notice, or the contractor came by, or the city permitting department came by, or building department came by, and they put a sticky note on your door. They put a sticky note on your window, which they do all the time, and that showing that they've been there and they inspect it or whatever. That's another sign that the property is likely vacant. Another one is to stop mail service. If a squatter drives by, opens a mailbox, and sees piled up mail that's been stuffed and stuffed and stuffed, they're going to think no one checks their mail, nobody lives here. So if the mailbox is always empty, it will appear as if somebody is checking the mail frequently. And another great way to advertise that your property is vacant is by leaving all those little postcards and business cards stuck in the door. If you have tons of those flyers and cards and business cards stuck in the door, it's going to be obvious to squatters that your property is vacant and available. The bottom line is, if you have a rundown looking property, if it is not properly maintained, if it is easy to get in and out because you aren't locking the doors and the windows and the gates of the yard, if you have broken down fences, trash in the yard, piled up, looks like nobody lives there, no one empties the mailbox, it's a target for squatters. Many states across the nation have squatters' rights. So if you own property in one of those states, you need to be very careful and frequently check on your property and make sure that there are no squatters. Do you have any squatter stories you can share? I would love to hear them in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found any of these tips helpful, please do all the things, like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell so you can get more videos on not how to lose your butt with your rental property investments. Until next time, keep building your wealth brick by brick.